Hello and welcome to the class on the Platform Sutra. I would like to personally welcome you and introduce myself. My name is the Reverend Song Do. My birth name is Jeremy Williams, and I will be your graduate teacher helping you through this course. I'm excited about this course. It's a wonderful course and a great sutra. What this video will attempt to tackle is a general overview of the history. I'm kind of a history buff and I like knowing where things come from. And so just to give you an overview of the history, where the sutra came from, who wrote it supposedly, and an overview. And then we'll also get into some expectations of the class this upcoming quarter. And so here we go. So the Platform Sutra was written in China, and they think some of the earliest manuscripts were from around the 830 to 860 Common Era time after Christ, however you want to look at it. And these were supposedly based on an older version from around 780 BC, or excuse me, CE, the Common Era. And just to put that into perspective, this was roughly about 100 years after the supposed writer of the Platform Sutra, or at least the one who was speaking in the Platform Sutra, Hui-neng. And you'll have to excuse me if I'm mispronouncing any names. I always try my best. But Hui-neng was supposedly, he was the sixth patriarch of Chan Buddhism, or also known as Zen in the Japanese, or Son in Korean. And he supposedly lived roughly from 638 to 713 of the Common Era. So, like I said, supposedly some of the earliest manuscripts came roughly 100 or so years after his life. And they were also continually added on till about the 1300s from what I read. You know, you can debate all day long whether or not he actually gave this speech, how accurate it was. A lot of the Buddhist experts believe that it was added on, if not completely fabricated, by students of his school or students of generations of his school to try to prove that their master and teacher was the right and correct one, kind of a living Buddha. So take it with a grain of salt. Basically, the idea was that Hui-neng came in. He was part of what there's basically two schools in China at the time. There was a northern school, or gradual enlightenment, also known as a gradual enlightenment school, and this southern school, which were proponents of sudden enlightenment, of which Hui-neng primarily was a part of, was the southern school, sudden enlightenment. And in this sutra, just not only from general teachings on meditation and wisdom and other things, Hui-neng also attempted to bring these schools together. And it tells about the story. It starts off with a short bio of Hui-neng, and his sudden enlightenment after hearing a single verse from the Diamond Sutra. And what makes this even more interesting is that Hui-neng was supposedly basically a uneducated country boy. His father died at an early age, and they had very little money. So he received no formal education. And supposedly, upon hearing this one verse from the Diamond Sutra, as he was walking through the market one day, I think it was a monk or someone was reciting it, he heard this one verse and was, boom, suddenly enlightened. It goes on to tell about how from that enlightenment he seeks out the Buddhist monks and a good teacher, and he's basically taken in by the fifth patriarch in a line that starts supposedly originally with the Buddha, but then supposedly the first patriarch in China was Bodhidharma, leading on down to the sixth patriarch being Hui-neng. So it's very interesting, though, the whole story of Hui-neng. Interesting. It's like a rags to riches and has all the drama of a daytime soap opera. It's very interesting. There's poetry, there's jealousy, there's murder plots, twists and turns. You could literally make a movie out of it. It'd be interesting to know if it was actually true or based on truth. And even in the end, we'll even touch on the fact that supposedly there is, the body of Hui-neng actually still exists in the form of a mummy. So the sutra also shows Hui-neng, after he becomes a monastic and becomes educated on the sutras, it shows, it cites and explains a wide variety or wide range of Buddhist sutras. The Diamond Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, the Vimalakirti Sutra, the Lanka Vatara Sutra, just to name a few. And that's another interesting point as well. Many times when you hear the word sutra, it's often thought of as being spoken by the Buddha, the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. This is also considered a sutra, but it was obviously not spoken by the historical Buddha, but rather by a later awakened being, also considered maybe a living Buddha, Hui-neng. So in that sense, people sometimes call these other writings or speeches from these enlightened beings sutras as well. And there's difference in semantics of sutras and shastras and different things, and I'm sure someone else is a much better expert at it than me. So once again, it's obviously not coming from the historical Buddha. It's coming from Hui-neng at a later time. And what's interesting is Hui-neng actually kind of basically beats out the head student in a poetry competition. Basically just shows that he is the more, I guess, enlightened one, or the only enlightened one maybe, depending on how you look at it. And so there's a lot of jealousy. There's friends of the primary student that he beats out. They get upset. They actually want to kill him. The fifth patriarch, basically says, "Hey, you need to take my money and run. Take this stuff and go. Go into hiding and run." And they follow him. They chase him. And long story short, when they finally catch up to him, he shows his enlightenment, his wisdom to these younger students. So they, or the head student of the time, and they eventually accept him. They reconcile, and he is recognized as the official sixth patriarch. So once he's recognized, Hui-neng goes back and he attempts to reconcile the two opposing schools, the northern and southern schools, or the gradual and the southern enlightenment philosophies. And it basically leads to our lineage's view on enlightenment, which is sudden enlightenment with gradual cultivation. And I can honestly say, even through my own experience and practice throughout the years, that this rings true in my heart. And that's probably why I'm in this lineage. So it's broken down into roughly 10 chapters, of which we will have individual lectures on the chapters, so I'm not going to get into all the individual chapters. So the next thing I would like to do is just talk about the expectations of the class. So you kind of have an idea of what to expect. The first thing I would like to do is to truly to have an open mind, I mean, probably if you're in a Buddhist seminary, I'd like to think you probably have an open mind anyways, but obviously to learn something, to question things, challenge yourself, challenge your beliefs. There's also good and bad to being in an all online Buddhist seminary. The wonderful things are that we can talk to people from miles around, all around the country, all around the world. We can kind of come to this when it's convenient for us in our time instead of trying to always fit stuff in. We don't have to move. We don't have to leave our jobs or this, that, and the other. There's also some limitations to that, though. It's kind of hard to have interaction. And I know that's one thing our founder and teacher wanted to do was start to involve the students more, have more interaction. So I challenge you, and I've done this myself. I've posted a video bio of myself because I think it's nice to see a face and a voice, an inflection in tone. You get to know people a little better. Doesn't have to be super long. I'd probably keep it less than 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, if even that. And make a short video if you have, of course. None of this is you don't have to do it. I'm not gonna take grades off or anything like that. But I would challenge you, if you have the means to make a video, I would try to start, making some videos from here, here and there. Mostly you're gonna be writing your answers, but make a short bio. And then also, I'd really like to challenge you to communicate with me, the other students, via email, via the forums. Really use the forums. I'm going to try to post questions on the forums every week. Once again, the forums aren't going to be graded, at least not, grammar and this, that, and the other. The only thing I really want to see is just at least a little bit of participation in each forum each week. Ideally, you can write back. Ideally, it'd be even nice if you could do a very short, literally only a couple of minutes, video response, video communication question. If not, you can always write it, of course. I'm trying to use all this modern technology to get us more involved and help us to truly feel more like a real class, a real Sangha and community experience. So I'm kind of putting myself out there. Even my bio, I'm sure I'll probably redo. I had to do a couple of takes just to even get what it is, and so we're all learning here. So the other thing, other than communicating with me and the other students, is obviously turn your work in on time. I'll admit I'm not a stickler. I know my own life. I have a very busy life, and people have been very patient with me when I've taken classes in the seminary. So try to get your work in on time. But if work or life or family or whatever just is overwhelming you and swamping you, just shoot me a short message just saying, hey, this is what's happening. Can I turn it in a little bit later or whatever? And we'll work it out. Also, because the seminary is moving more towards a master's level and beyond at some point, we will have term papers. That's something new to me as well. So I hope you like to write. The reason I bring it up is so you can go ahead and plan for it. It won't be a surprise at the end. We'll probably have weekly questions you answer. Not, you don't have to write too much, but at some point, though, be planning and thinking about a final term project and paper. It may not be a paper. I like very much how one of our other teachers, Dosham, also gives some options of either doing a lengthy, in-depth blog or review of a book, or even if you teach a class, if you give a Dharma talk like myself, if you could videotape it, something of that nature. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a paper. So that's just a little bit of what to expect. This is the book. I don't know, it may look different. This is a combined book. This says the Diamond Sutra. You don't have to worry about that, but the Sutra of Hui-neng is also known as the Platform Sutra. I'm sure you may have different copies. There's, I believe, a free downloadable copy, of the class. If you're like me, a lot of times I like having the physical book in my hand just because I'm a Librophile, if you can't see all the books behind me. But we also like to control costs, so a lot of the materials luckily we have in this seminary are free. Also, what to expect. I'll be giving some upcoming videos. I plan on giving a video of a brief bio on Hui-neng. I'll obviously be doing individual chapter lectures over the next coming weeks. And since this is my first quarter teaching and doing this, hopefully everything should be up and running and on time, but please have patience with me as well as I'm settling into this and learning this as well. But hopefully it'll go smoothly and we'll all enjoy this together. I will also try to post some forum questions, discussion points, and maybe even a video, even short questions, same kind of thing, just to get the ball rolling. In the first week, the discussion I would like to have, or questions for week 1 in the forum, is just, have you ever read the Platform Sutra? And if so, what was your general take from it? Feelings, have you studied it formally, informally? If you haven't read it, do you know anything about it or Hui-neng? And if you don't know anything at all, or even if you have read it, what would you like to get out of this class? What would you like to learn? How would you like to interact with the other classmates and myself? And, finally, like I said, please, please, please communicate. That's key with anything. With me, especially, feel free to email me at any time. I think there's an email associated with the Buddha Dharma University. I don't even mind if you email me at my personal email, which is zenjeremy@me.com, zenjeremy@me.com, zenjeremy@me.com. If you really need to communicate above and beyond that, say via phone or Skype, I'm also available for that, but we would obviously need to make arrangements. We'd need to make an appointment. So feel free to email me if you ever need to make an appointment to either talk on the phone or Skype or something of that nature. So, like I said, welcome again to Buddha Dharma University and the Platform Sutra course, and I look forward to learning together with you.